Oh, what is up, beautiful people? Welcome to another stream. Good to see you guys. Did we stream yesterday? I'm like 90% sure we streamed yesterday. I'm not even sure. We're trying to stream every other day, but sometimes we're in the streaming mood, man. What can I say? We're here for another late one. We streamed this time last time, and it was a pretty big hit. So apparently, this is not a bad time to stream. So here we are today, guys is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. We're going to be talking about your root fear, right? I got it written down up here. Your root fear and what you must face. So, people learn about the two main keys. They learn about acceptance, living your life, trying to have the accepting attitude, right? No longer running away from the feelings, but rather embracing them and living alongside of them. But we don't use the term root fear a whole lot around here. We don't really talk about root fears or root this or root that, but today we're going to talk about that. We did a stream along these lines about a month or two ago. I don't know, it was a really good one, and I just wanted to touch on this subject again because it's so important. A lot of people get very confused on context, right? A lot of people get very confused on context. They are listening to the negative thoughts and they falsely assume that the negative thoughts and the triggers, the situations are the problem, right, that need to be solved. So they spend years and years and years trying to either avoid these things or figure them out with obsession and worry. But we're going to kind of smash that today and talk about how, you know, these things that you think you're afraid of, these intrusive thoughts that trigger you, these situations that trigger you, they're not really your root fear. They're not really your root problem here. We're gonna talk about that tonight. It's gonna be a good one. JP, welcome to the stream, dude. How are you doing? Edward, Life of Riley, Amanda, how are you guys all doing? It's great to see you. Finally caught the live. Yeah, if you're having trouble getting into the lives while they're happening, make sure you ring the notification bell. Very, very important. Need it right now. Been struggling. Well, it's gonna be a good one. We're going to go ahead and get comments pulled up on my end. Go ahead and knock that out. Give people some time who want to get in here to get in here. Let's see. You know what? We can go ahead and get some. Sure. It just started playing. We can go ahead and get some music going while we wait to start the point of the stream. Why not? Why not? We'll give it a minute or two, let some people get in here. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing, dude? Let's see. Did the bot do the job? Did the bot do the job and send out my notifications for me? I believe so. Wait, no, it didn't. Or did it? No, apparently it did not. We need to send out a notification. Okay, weird. I'm glad I checked that. The bot did not send out notifications for me. Interesting. Alright, guys, we're going to get started in just another minute. We need like a countdown. We need like a timer or something for the main point of the stream. I don't know how to do that. Any tips for sleep anxiety / insomnia? Do not try to force it. The more you try to force sleep, the further away you're going to get from it, right? Because you're just working yourself up. The whole time that you're wishing for sleep and trying to fight for it, you're working yourself up even more. So it's very ironic in that way. That would probably be my number one tip when it comes to sleep issues. Do not try to force it. Do not try to force it whatsoever. It'll come when it comes. That's the attitude you need to try to keep. All right, guys. Let's see. Let's go ahead. Get rid of that so we don't have to talk over that. Gonna be a good one tonight. Your root fear and what you must face. Let's go ahead and jump into the point of tonight's stream. So, as we were just saying, a lot of people, we're just gonna jump right into it. A lot of people falsely assume that their triggers, right? The intrusive thoughts. Let's say you have an intrusive thought of this situation or that situation, right? A lot of people falsely assume that their triggers, their thoughts, situations. I don't like being home alone, for example. I've heard that one before. When I'm home alone, when I'm very anxious, or when I get this certain thought that this might happen or that might happen, I'm very anxious. I don't want this bad thing, OCD. I don't want this bad thing to happen to my family member, right? That makes me very anxious. A lot of people assume that it's these specific triggers and the context of them, right? What is context? Context is, what these triggers are made of, the situation. A lot of people falsely assume that they need to figure these things out because that's what's causing their anxiety, right? But I want you to understand that you can throw context to the side and make this a lot more simple on yourself by understanding that your root fear is not so much these situations, not so much these thoughts, not so much any of that, right? But your root fear, okay, at the end of the day, is going to be fearing the way that you feel. I fear the way that I feel. This thought makes me feel a certain way. This trigger makes me feel a certain way. The situation makes me feel a certain way, and I fear the way that I feel. You're afraid to feel the way that you feel. That is your root issue, right? So here's what happens. People falsely assume that it's the situation that they fear. Oh, I don't like to be home alone, right? So that's my fear. Or people falsely assume that it's the thought that they fear. Oh, I don't want this bad thing that my OCD is saying is going to happen to my family member. I don't want that to happen. That's what I fear. But understand something. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. If when you were home alone, that's just one of many examples. If when you were home alone, you experienced no anxiety, no symptoms, would you care about being home alone? Of course not. If you had the intrusive thought that something bad's going to happen to your family member, would you, but had no anxiety with it, so you had the thought but no anxiety with it, would you really care so much about that thought? No. Okay? You must understand that the context is irrelevant here because your biggest fear is the way that it makes you feel. So somebody in chat says, my whole issue is intrusive thoughts about just existing. I somehow feel like I need to be in control of all my bodily sensations, like swallowing, breathing. So this thought, and then this is another example, this thought about intrusive thoughts about just existing and so forth and so on, if you had that thought but had no anxiety with it, like that thought caused no anxiety, that thought gave you no anxiety whatsoever, no fear, right? Would you care about that thought? Not really. Not really. It might be interesting to you. It might catch your attention for a second. You might be like, "Oh, that was an interesting thought," but you really wouldn't care. You really wouldn't care that deeply about it if it didn't cause anxiety. So do you get the point that I'm getting out here, right? You get the point that I'm getting out here. Do you really fear the thing that your mind says you fear, or do you fear the way that you feel? Do you really fear this thing, that situation, this thought, that thought, or do you fear the way that you feel? I'm gonna burst your bubble here and tell you that you don't really fear the thing you think you fear. If it didn't cause you anxiety, you probably wouldn't care about it. Now, that's not to say you might not get a thought every now and then, and even though it didn't cause anxiety, you might be like, that's a spooky thought. But you really wouldn't care if it didn't make you feel that anxiety. So, you know what that tells me, and you know what that should tell you? It tells you that your root fear is not what you think it is. Your root fear is that you're afraid of the way that you feel. Dr. Claire Weeks is who said those words. You are afraid of the way that you feel. Not so much the situation that caused the way that you feel. Not so much the thought that caused the way that you feel. You just care about the way that you feel. That's what you fear more than anything, right? So here's the problem. You got people spending weeks, months, and years trying to obsess and worry away these thoughts because they think the thoughts are the problem. You've got these people for weeks, months, and years trying to obsess and worry away the situations. I don't want to be in this situation. You're tackling the wrong problem. You are tackling the wrong issue. It's not the thoughts that you need to tackle in order to feel better. It's not the situations that you need to tackle in order to feel better. You don't need to never be put in that situation again, or else I'm not going to feel better. Never have that thought again, or else I'm not going to feel better. You need to tackle the root issue here. You wouldn't care about that situation or that thought if you didn't fear anxiety so much. Your root fear at the end of the day is that you're afraid of the way that it makes you feel, right? If you had that thought and it didn't make you feel anxiety, you wouldn't care so much about that thought. How many people can agree with that? So, for example, I love picking examples out of the chat. We've got Amanda who says, my whole issue is intrusive thoughts about just existing. Well, let's say that you had those intrusive thoughts about just existing, but they didn't cause you any anxiety. Would you care? Probably not very much, if at all, right? And I think you can agree with that. So your root problem is you are afraid of the way that you feel, period, right? And I think most of you can agree with that. And if you're a bit of a non-believer right now and you're like, no, I really think it's this thought that's bothering me. I really think I care about what this thought's saying. I want you to just really think about it hard for a second. Imagine you having that thought, but it coming with zero anxiety. Would you still care about that thought? No, you wouldn't. You just care about the way that it makes you feel. And that sounds selfish, but it's true. You just care about these thoughts in these situations because they trigger you. If they didn't trigger you, you probably wouldn't care as much, if at all, right? If at all. So you must understand that in order to overcome this anxiety crap, you have to tackle the root problem here. The root problem is your fear of anxiety and panic itself, your fear of fear. Somebody said it in chat already. Your fear of fear, okay? Olivia in chat says, my intrusive thoughts are also about existing and feeling freaked out that I'm in my body. If that thought came to you but caused zero anxiety, if you had a thought about existing and it caused zero anxiety, follow my words, zero anxiety, would you care? Would you care? So a lot of people in chat are talking about how they have these thoughts that freak them out. If these thoughts came and they caused zero anxiety, would you care about the thought as much, if at all? No, you wouldn't. You only care about these situations and thoughts because they cause you to feel anxious, and you hate feeling anxious. You only care about these situations and thoughts because they cause you to feel anxiety and maybe even panic, and you hate feeling anxiety and panic, and that's why you care about the thought, because the thought makes you feel anxiety and panic, which you hate. Right? Okay, so there's only one thing you can do now. You've got to turn focus from trying to figure out the unimportant. You're trying to worry and obsess away these thoughts and situations because you think they're the culprit. You're trying to tackle the wrong issue. You have got to tackle the main issue here. You have got to tackle the main issue. The main issue is not the thoughts and feelings. The main issue is your fear of fear. Your main issue is the fear of the way that they make you feel. If you did not fear the way that they made you feel, you would not care if they came. Ooh, that's a big one. If you can agree with that, then we've still got a problem here. The problem is you are afraid of the way that they make you feel. There is only one way to lose the fear of fear, which is the main issue. That's what we're talking about tonight. That is the root fear here, the fear of fear. There is only one way to lose the fear of fear. Do you know what that one way is? Can anybody in chat guess what that one way might be? What is the one way to eventually lose your main fear here, the fear of fear, your fear of anxiety and panic, right? The fear of the way they make you feel. What is the only one way that you can work on losing that main fear? Acceptance. To be able and be willing to practice allowing yourself to feel these ways, right? With an attitude of, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, right? You have to stop going into these experiences with an attitude of, I must hold it back. As long as you are trying to hold it back, you will never learn how to deal with it. As long as you are trying to hold it back, you will keep yourself stuck in the false belief that you have to figure these thoughts and feelings out in order to feel better. And if you go about it like that, you're going to be spending weeks, months, and years trying to figure the wrong thing out. You're trying to fight these thoughts. You're trying to fight these situations because they cause you anxiety and you don't like that. You're tackling the wrong issue. We must tackle your fear of fear because that's your root problem. That is your root fear. If it wasn't for your fear of anxiety and panic, you would not care about these situations and thoughts. So why are you focused on trying to figure out the situations and thoughts? Let's try to figure out the main issue, which is you being afraid of anxiety and panic. Now, the only way, again, I'll say it again, it's so important, the only way that you can slowly start to learn and practice losing your fear of anxiety and panic is by, guess what? Feeling it. Feeling it. You must feel it. Now, a lot of people in chat are probably saying to themselves, Wonder Bro, dude, I feel it every day, right? But let me add something onto that. You must feel it with the correct attitude. Because for so long, you have falsely convinced yourself that you are feeling it when you're not. Yeah, I agree that you feel crappy, that you feel very uncomfortable, but you're not feeling it all the way. You're stopping it. You're stopping it in its tracks. You're fighting with it mentally. You're doing the compulsions. You're doing whatever it is. How are you ever going to lose your fear, which is your root fear? How are you ever going to lose your root fear of anxiety and panic if you're always holding it back with your compulsions and your behavioral changes and whatever it is that you do to try to push it away? How are you ever going to learn to lose your fear of it if you do not embrace it and face it fully without all of these things that you're doing to try to hold it back, right? So, for example, next time you feel anxiety starting to build and maybe even turning into panic, you must resist the urge to flee and use these techniques, right? In order to hold it back, you must resist that urge. You will never be able to tackle your root fear of fear unless you allow yourself to fully embrace it, to fully face it fully. We're going to be using that word a lot, right? So your root fear is your fear of panic and anxiety. It's not the thoughts so much. It's not the situations. If they caused you no anxiety, you wouldn't really care about them. That tells me, and that should tell you, that your root fear is not what you think it is. Your root fear is your fear of feeling anxious and feeling panic. And in order to overcome your fear of feeling anxious and feeling panic, you must feel it. You got to stop holding it back by using the compulsions and the obsessions and, oh God, stop this situation before it builds. Oh God, do this before it builds. You got to let it build. 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 The only way to ever lose your fear, your root fear of anxiety and panic, is to face it fully and to finally look it in the eye, right? Because you're not looking it in the eye right now. A lot of you are not looking it in the eye right now. You're still using the compulsions. You're still trying to hold it back. You're still trying to keep it from building. You're pushing it down, pushing it down. Every time it comes, you do something to try to make it go away. And you think you're protecting yourself, but really all you're doing is putting off the inevitable. And the inevitable is that one day you're eventually going to have to turn and face this thing fully. And you're going to have to let it build, and you're going to have to let it come out, and you're going to have to stop trying to hold it back with whatever it is that you're doing to try to hold it back, right? In order to lose your root fear and truly move on with life, you have to be willing to let your anxiety and panic, right? Metaphorically, you have to be willing to let your anxiety and panic kill you if it will, right? Now, of course, it's not going to kill you, but you get my point. You have to be willing to let it go that far if that's where it's going to go. You have to be willing to let it make you go insane. You have to be willing to face this fully, right? Which is a practice. Understand that if you're going to lose the fear of something, you have to face it. If you're going to lose the fear of something, you have to let it, right? Eric, you're amazing, dude. I will get to that in just a second. You have to be willing, right? Your root fear, as we have discussed tonight and come to the conclusion tonight, your root fear is of anxiety and panic. There is only one way to lose the fear of something: to see it all the way through, to not try to hold it back, to turn and look at it directly, to no longer do the compulsions that are holding it back, to no longer escape because it's building, but to allow it to fully express itself. And then you will see that you always make it out alive, right? But you will never learn that if you spend all this time trying to focus on what's not the problem. The thoughts aren't the problem, guys. Let's be honest for a second. The thoughts are not the problem. Stop trying to figure them out. You're just making yourself miserable. The situation's not the problem. Stop trying to figure that out and avoid that. That's not the issue here. The real issue is that you're afraid of anxiety and panic and the way that it makes you feel. Let's focus on tackling the real issue from here on out. Next time you want to obsess over those thoughts, over those situations, remind yourself that's not even the real issue. I'm going to let those thoughts and situations be, because my real issue is that I'm afraid of anxiety and panic. So I'm not even going to try to figure out the thoughts and situations. I'm just going to let the anxiety and panic come so that I can face my real fear here, because that's my real fear. That's what I really fear, is how this makes me feel. And I'm finally going to face that. I'm going to stop trying to figure out these thoughts. I'm going to stop trying to figure out these situations, and I'm going to face my real fear here, which is the way that I feel. How do I do that? By no longer trying to hold it back. By no longer trying to hold it back, I'm just going to let it happen. I'm going to get to know it on a personal level until I no longer care if it's there or if it's not. Until I no longer care if I'm panicking or if I'm not panicking. You will not get to that place unless you're willing to walk that path, right? And I'm saying to you, why wouldn't you be willing? How long are you going to try to obsess this thing away? How long are you going to try to worry yourself out of this hole, right? It's not going to happen. You're just keeping yourself miserable. It's time to tackle your root fear and face panic directly by no longer trying to hold it back, by no longer trying to figure out the thoughts and feelings, but by instead letting it completely come each and every time until you lose the fear of it, right? Right? Show yourself that you don't have to hold it back. You don't have to use compulsions. You don't have to use coping methods. Let it fully come until you no longer care if it's there. Let it fully come until you realize that nothing is going to happen. Now, again, the last thing I want to say, people think, well, I've been doing that for years. No, you have not. You may have been miserable for years. I agree with that, but you have not fully let it come. You're still up in your head trying to get the thoughts to stop, trying to get these situations to change, doing little things to try to hold the anxiety back. Yes, you're miserable, but you're not fully going into it because you're still doing little things to put your hand up and try to stop it. It's time to fully go into it and put the hand down, right? Right? You need to lose your fear of anxiety and panic, and you can't do that as long as you've got your hand up. You can't do that. This hand represents the compulsions. It represents the coping methods. It represents you trying to get out of the situation before panic comes. It represents you trying to run away from the anxiety and panic with what you tell yourself mentally. Oh God, I've got an escape plan. This represents everything you do to try to hold your anxiety and panic back. And you've been doing this for so long and you're miserable, but you don't realize that you're not fully facing like that. A lot of people say, well, I'm facing. Not as long as you've got this up. You're not. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not, right? So if you want to lose your real fear, if you want to overcome your real fear here, it's time to face it fully, which means this has got to come down. There's no more trying to run away from thoughts or trying to change situations so that you don't panic. There's no longer trying to worry or obsess the thoughts away so that they don't cause panic. You got to be allowing and willing to let the thoughts cause panic. Without this, you've got to be willing and allowing to let the situation cause panic. Without this, and then you've got to sit with it until it goes away on its own, and then you start to lose the fear of it because you're like, wow, I didn't have to do anything, right? Right? So if you think you're accepting, but you still got one of these up, you got to put it down. You've eventually got to put it down. It's not the thoughts that are the problem. It's not the situations that are the problem. It's the fact that you're afraid of the way that they make you feel. And there's only one way to overcome the fear of the way that you feel, by allowing yourself to feel it. without this, which represents all your compulsions, coping methods, obsessions, trying to get the thoughts to go away. All that's got to go. And if you're going to lose the fear of fear, you've got to fully feel it, right? Whew, that was a big one. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. Leave a big thumbs up if you did. Thank you so much, Eric, for the $10 tip. Says, best streamer ever. Thanks for everything you do. Well, thank you, Eric. That's very flattering. You're going to make me blush. It was a good one tonight, guys. Wow, that was a good one. I did not mean to go off on such a rant there, but it's so true, dude. At the end of the day, your root fear is that you don't like the way anxiety and panic makes you feel. So you got to start to get comfortable with it, and there's only one way to do that, to willingly feel it with an attitude of, let's see what happens. No longer an attitude of, oh God, I might make it. No, an attitude of, let's see what happens, right? So if you did enjoy tonight's stream, like I said, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. We're going to move on over to post-stream now, get some music going, all that good stuff. Where's my music at? Where's my music at? There it is. Who we got in chat tonight? Who we got in chat tonight? How you doing, Riley? We got Sky in the house tonight. How you doing, dude? Oh, I did not update the tip goal. My bad, my bad. Thank you again, Eric, for the $10 tip, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm coming for the throne. Ugh, had to stand up and get me a drink there. Oh no. I'm dropping everything. I'm dropping everything. Alright. Let the fear wash all over you. It cannot hurt you ever. Just a feeling, so see it through to the other side. Pass through panic. Claire Weeks, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolute legend. Absolute legend. Ugh. What's up, Edward? Great message, Wonder Bros. In a bit of a funk. Have a new trigger. I went to an event for someone that passed away. It caused me to think I was going to lose people in my life. So again, really the whole point of tonight's stream is that let me turn this fucking music down. This is loud. Really the whole point of tonight's stream was that the context is irrelevant. You're just afraid of the way that makes you feel. So, you know, when we say the word trigger, it kind of hints at the fact that something, right? And triggers are different for everyone, but it hints at the fact that something is making you feel anxious. That's essentially what a trigger is. And the whole point of tonight's stream was to get you to understand that your triggers only bother you because they do make you feel anxious, right? If they didn't make you feel anxiety, you wouldn't care and they wouldn't be considered a trigger. So do you see what we're getting at there? That kind of hints at the fact that maybe it's not the thing that you care so much about, but it's the fact that it makes you feel anxiety. And you hate feeling anxiety so much, you're so afraid of feeling anxiety that you can't stand it. Now you've got a trigger, right? So some people might hear me say that and I might say, well, Wonder Bro, that kind of sounds like you're telling Edward that he doesn't really care if he loses people in his life. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you don't care if you lose people in your life. Of course we all care if we lose people in our life or not. But if that thought came into your head, oh, Edward, you might lose people in your life. If that thought came to your head and it didn't cause you any anxiety, zero anxiety, you would not be so quick to overthink it, right? You would not be so quick to run and try to defend yourself. If you had the thought, oh, Edward, you're going to lose people in your life, but it caused you zero anxiety, You would just be like, oh, well, that was sort of a depressing thought, but okay. And then you would go and make your coffee. It would not ruin your day. But because that thought brought anxiety, because you have tired nerves, now you're just like, oh my God, I got to figure this out. Why? Because you hate feeling anxious that much. That's why. So your root fear is not the context of the thought, but rather the fact that you're so afraid of anxiety. That's your root fear. Not that you're afraid of losing people, and I'm not saying that you aren't. Yeah, we all hate losing people, but it's the anxiety that thought brought. And you fear anxiety so much that now that thought is very big and important. So let's tackle the root problem here. Not what the thought is saying. That's never the root problem. Let's tackle the root problem, which is your fear of anxiety. And the only way to tackle your fear of anxiety is to allow yourself to feel anxiety fully. No coping methods, no compulsions, just saying to yourself, let's see what happens. Do what you will, right? Do what you will. So we're going to switch back on over here. I want to try something very quickly while I've got this pulled up. I almost forgot yesterday, so give me just a second. I discovered something. I discovered that I have a little control panel here, and I'm able to make adjustments. Also, we got a tip, and I'll get to that in just a second. I'm able to make... Okay, we should not mess with that slider. That is horrible. Probably should not mess with any of this, actually. But I wanted to try it. So give me just a second. What is this one? Oh... You know what? We're just gonna leave that alone. Never mind. We're gonna screw something up. Prince, dude, thank you so much for the $10 tip. Says let's not be afraid of fear and face it. It's the only way. And I know I keep saying that, and that takes us to 20. Thank you so much. I know I keep saying that, but the only way to overcome fear is to fully allow fear. And a lot of people say, oh, well, I am, but you're not. You must understand. I thought I was too for a very long time. You are not fully allowing fear so long as you are in your head trying to get away from it by trying to fight with the thoughts and the situations and trying to change it all. As long as you are doing that, you are not fully facing fear, right? You have to come into this thing with an attitude of, let's see what happens if I do nothing about this. Let's see what happens if I let this build and don't try to stop it. And then just keep that attitude, and eventually you will lose your fear of fear. But as long as you've got your arm up trying to stop it, you are not going to lose your fear of fear. You've got to fully embrace it and feel it, and it is a practice. You do not have to be perfect. Those are two things I say all the time. It is a practice. You do not have to be perfect. But if you want to lose your root fear, which is the fear of anxiety and panic, you must start to get used to it by allowing yourself to feel it, right? Right? Good one tonight, man. Good one. This stream gave me something to think about. Yeah, it's important, dude. A lot of people think their fears are something that they're not. And to be honest, it's always going to come down to your fear is actually the fear of anxiety and panic itself, not what you think it is. I've watched every video. This is the best in all caps. He must not be lying. The best in all caps. Really will connect/help people to full recovery. Please, everyone, follow the advice. It is so spot on. Bravo. Thank you so much, Life of Riley. I appreciate you. Hey, Wonder Bro, just at work. Forgive my aloftness, I think. You are forgiven for whatever that is. You are forgiven. I love you. How are you doing, Stud Muffin? Life is short, so fear not. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. There you go, Slow Jam. Hope you're doing good, dude. It's been a minute since I've seen you. What's up, Savannah? Wonder Bro, what to do with stuck thoughts? Like I wake up every day with the same thought. I try to ignore it, but my attention just seems to grab right back at them 2 seconds later. That is okay. Don't try to force it out, right? If the thought wants to be there, if it wants to be on the forefront of your mind, that is okay. Don't try to say, oh, God, don't think that, right? Because automatically you're going to start thinking that, right? So don't try to not think it. If it wants to be there, allow it to be there. However, do not fight with it. So you can allow it to be there. You can allow it to have your attention, but don't fight with it. Just allow it to come. Tell yourself we're just going to see what happens. We're going to give the thought permission. We're going to give the feeling permission. We're going to give it all permission, right? And we're not going to try to fight with it because that's like trying to argue with a toddler. It's just not going to work. So you're going to let the thought and feeling be there, but you don't really have anything to say. You don't have much of an argument. You're just keeping the accepting attitude. That's what we call it around here. You're keeping the accepting attitude. You're allowing the thought to be there. You're allowing allowing the thought to make you feel however it wants to make you feel, and you're just keeping the attitude of, okay, do what you will, but I'm going to get on with my day. So you're getting on with your day. The thought is still there, but you're getting on with your day, and you're not trying to argue with it. You're just allowing it to be, and you're allowing it to make you feel however it makes you feel, but you're just keeping the accepting attitude and living your day. That is the two main keys right there. To accept the thoughts and feelings without trying to argue with them. Allow them to make you feel however they make you feel, and just continue on with your day anyway, right? Do not get up in your head and start trying to fight with them. It will not work. It will not work. If you're going to get up in your head and tell yourself something, just make it something short, sweet, and simple, some acceptance, right? Like, oh, I can handle this. I'm going to let this do whatever it wants to do. I'm going to see it right through, right? Just give yourself accepting little reminders, okay? I'm going to let this thought be. If it turns into panic, it turns into panic. So be it. Whatever comes, man. That's the accepting attitude right there. You're not trying to fight or argue. You're living your life with the accepting attitude. Let's see. Go live your life. Absolutely, UK. It's been a minute since I've seen you. How have you been? Comes back to everything that we've been talking about tonight, dude. How can you possibly lose your fear of anxiety and panic if you're not willing to allow yourself to feel the anxiety and panic? So if you're always doing something mentally or physically to try to put it off, how are you ever going to lose your fear of it? You're not going to lose your fear of it. You're not going to lose your fear of it. If every time you feel anxious, you do something to make that go away, how are you ever going to lose your fear of anxiety or panic? If every time a panic attack is coming on, you run for the hills, how are you ever going to lose your fear of panic? You're always going to be dragging this around with you. You're always going to be dragging this fear of anxiety and panic around with you, doing things to make sure it doesn't happen. I got to do things mentally and physically, we call that compulsions, to make sure that this anxiety and panic does not come. You're going to have to spend the rest of your life doing that. Is that what you really want to do? Or do you want to tackle your root fear? Do you want to look this shit in the eye and lose your fear of it till you get to the point where it literally doesn't matter if it comes or not? That's the place where we need to get you. We need to get you willing to feel this to the point that you don't even care if it comes or not. Then you don't have to drag it around with you for the rest of your life, right? Because you're always going to be dragging it around with you for the rest of your life. Oh, I need to make sure I do these compulsions in order for this anxiety and panic to not come, because if I don't, it's going to come and it's going to be horrible and I can't stand it. And you're going to have to spend your life with that mentality until one day you say, you know what, if it comes, I'm going to let it come. I'm going to experience these thoughts and feelings fully without trying to stop them until I get to the point where I no longer care if they come. I no longer care if these thoughts come because I don't care about the anxiety and panic that they produce. I don't care about being put in these situations because I don't care about the anxiety and panic that the situation might produce, right? That's freedom. That's freedom, and that's ultimately going to lead to your healing. But trying to use compulsions to fight this thing off is what you've been doing for so long, and that's why you are in the situation that you're in, right? We talk about this, we talk about all the different ways that you can kind of use the accepting attitude. We talk about it on the Discord, we talk about it here on the streams, but really it's all going to come down to that. Being willing to allow yourself to feel the anxiety and panic until you no longer care about the anxiety and panic. And a lot of people are under the false belief that that's what they've been doing. Well, if you're still trying to fight it off with compulsions mentally and physically and trying to keep it at bay, and you're not allowing yourself to panic, for example, how are you truly facing and accepting? You're not. So you really have to be honest with yourself. You really, really have to be honest with yourself if you're going to make progress on this journey, right? Without honesty, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. Anxiety fears me. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world. I never say it's the easiest thing in the world. It does take practice, but I mean, that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. You got to lose your fear of the anxiety and panic, and there's only one way to do that. There's only one way to do that, and that is to feel it. And like I keep saying, because it's such a crucial mistake that people make, a lot of people have convinced themselves that they are allowing themselves to feel it, but you're really not if you're still using compulsions and coping methods and trying to get it to stop from building. If you're trying to stop the build and you're trying to do things to make it go away, you are not truly practicing acceptance. Okay, we have to be honest with ourselves here. And the only reason I say that so bluntly is because I want to see you make progress. And, to be blunt, you're not going to make that progress if you are telling yourself that you're accepting, but at the same time, you're not willing to let the anxiety and panic build. You're doing things to make it go away. If you're doing things to hold back or make the anxiety and panic go away, you are not truly practicing acceptance, right? Because you're not going to lose your fear of it that way. You're not going to lose your fear of it that way. Why do certain people react to stress with symptoms and others don't, even when fear is not there? There are tension headaches. I'm not sure. I'll be honest. I'm not sure why some people might experience tension headaches and others might not. Wow, I don't have the answer to that. I'm stumped. I'm stumped on that one. Yeah, I'm not sure why everyone is different. People experience different symptoms. Some people react to stress with headaches, for example. Some people don't. And to be honest with you, I don't know why that is. I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. We're all built a bit differently, right? Yeah, I do get that. I'm using acceptance. Think I have perfected it. Just generally asking how long you've been using acceptance now that you almost recovered. Yeah. So time frames. Don't get too caught up on time frames. That is a fair warning. Don't get too caught up on time frames. Again, it comes back to that whole everybody is different thing. Nothing bad ever happens. See it to the end. It's not luck or your worry that kept you safe. You were always safe. Now you just have to feel it. Don't resist. Be the observer. Absolutely, Riley. I couldn't agree with that comment anymore. Nothing bad ever happens, right? But you are right. People falsely assume that it was their worry that kept them safe, and simply that was not true. Actually, it is your worry that keeps you miserable. Now that is true. That is true, right? Dealing with headaches now since anxiety hit. I never had headaches before. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people experience different symptoms. Why somebody, person A's symptom set might be different than person B's symptom set. I couldn't tell you. All I chalk that up to is, people are different. People experience different symptoms. Why that is, I'm not completely sure. But I will tell you that the quote-unquote cure is the same for everyone. I will tell you that being afraid of the way that you feel is the root problem for everyone. I will tell you those things. That I am sure of, right? So it doesn't really matter how we get here, how we got there, right? The advice is still the same for everybody, and that's what's important. That's what's important. For example, myself, I never really dealt with headaches. Right there's an example. I never really dealt with headaches. That was never really a thing for me. Right now, I couldn't tell you why that's a thing for Amanda. Right, I don't know why her brain decided that that was a good symptom for her. But for me, I never dealt with headaches. I dealt with plenty of other symptoms, but not headaches. So who knows? And honestly, who cares? The cure is the same for everyone. The root problem is the same for everyone. You are afraid of the way that you feel, and you are constantly trying to hold back anxiety and panic with your obsession and your worry and your compulsions, which keeps you in a state of misery and keeps your nerves fried. In order to overcome this, you have to tackle your root fear, which is the fear of anxiety and panic. And in order to overcome your root fear of anxiety and panic, you have to stop trying to hold it back with obsessions, worries, and compulsions and allow yourself to feel it fully. Whew, that was a mouthful. That was a mouthful. Goes back to that old saying, Savannah, that the things that you worry about when they actually happen, if they do ever actually happen, are never, like you said, never as bad as you thought they would be. When you're actually in them, when you're actually in the moment, if that worry did happen, very unlikely, but if it did happen, you will surprise yourself. You will surprise yourself. So it's always going to come back, share, to fear of the way that you feel. You don't like the way that you feel, so you obsess about it, worry about it, and fight about it, and you continue adding gas to the fire. There is only one way to overcome your root fear of fearing the way that you feel, and that is to feel it fully without trying to hold it back. That sounds like a leap of faith, but it will lead to your freedom, right? So drop your compulsions, coping methods, work on that, see it fully right through. And anytime you want to worry or obsess about it, remind yourself that you're going to see it right through, and you will slowly start to lose your fear of it. I know you're not sensitized, but what symptoms do you get when highly stressed? So whenever I'm personally going through anything that's very, very stressful, just like any other human being, right? My mind wants to go to worst case scenarios, which is something that the mind does, whether you're sensitized or not. However, if you're not sensitized, it's a lot easier to deal with and not go that route, right? So if something bad happens in my life, my mind might want to go to the worst case scenario. As far as physical symptoms go, when you're not sensitized, even if you're dealing with a lot of stress, you don't necessarily feel all these symptoms that we talk about here on the channel. So I wouldn't say that I sit around with a ton of symptoms when I'm highly stressed. My mind does want to kind of take off, just like anybody else's mind. Physical symptoms, I can't really think of any set in stone physical symptoms that I would feel when I'm stressed. It's really a mental sort of thing. I mean, when you're not sensitized, your nerves are not going to be popping off symptoms, right? That's really what it comes down to. That doesn't mean that you're never going to experience another, let's say, for example, stress headache again in your life. You probably will, right? But when you're not sensitized, it's really a whole new world. It's a whole new world where you're not feeling these symptoms over every little thing. You're able to deal with stress, right? You're able to deal with stress without your nerves firing off, and that's really what it means to be sensitized. And again, the point of today's stream is that your main fear is what's keeping this going, and your main fear is that you're not willing to allow yourself to feel these feelings because you're afraid of them. And the only way to lose your fear of them is to allow yourself to feel them fully with the attitude of, I'm going to just see what happens, instead of trying to hold it back with my worry and obsession, which is keeping me miserable, right? So it's a change of mindset, really. It's a change of mindset. Wonder Bro, I'm here. I'm barbecuing and making crawfish and shrimp broil. I'm going to send you a virtual plate. I would love that. I would actually love that. You're going to make me drool. You're going to make me drool. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. Classic. Classic. I think maybe I'm still trying to answer that question. I'm still pondering that question. Maybe if something really stressful happens in my life, like I said, my mind might want to try to take off with me a bit. Maybe just feeling a little on edge. We call that nervousness, right? We call that nervousness, which is it's just normal. It's if you've ever been nervous in your life over something, that's what we call normal. That's what you're going to go back to experiencing when you're not sensitized, right? You're just going to feel that general nervousness, which is a very normal human emotion. If something bad happens in your life, we all encounter things that happen in our lives that's not necessarily desirable. What's up, Panda? How you doing? It's amazing. So again, I really want to continue to drive home the point of tonight's stream. I mean, if you're going to overcome your root fear, man, and your root fear is always going to be fear of the way that you fear anxiety, you fear panic, and that's what drives you to do the obsession. If you're going to overcome that fear, you've got to drop the mindset of I don't want to feel and change that to a mindset of I'm going to feel and I'm going to see what happens. You got to see this thing through, as Dr. Claire Weeks called it. There can be no more coping methods, compulsions, or trying to stop it. You must give it free permission to do what it's going to do, and you will slowly start to lose your fear of it. That is the way. That is the way. Because right now you're spending a lot of time trying to fight with your thoughts, trying to fight with these situations, and you do that because you're afraid of anxiety and panic, and that's what keeps you stressed. All of that trying to fight with it because you're so afraid of it, and there's only one way to lose your fear of it, and that's to see it right through. I've had ups and downs days, which is very normal. Feel like I can conquer it all, then boom, panic, anxiety, blah. Okay, well, see, that cannot be the attitude. The attitude has to be panic, let's go. Anxiety, let's go. Your attitude has got to be, I want to lose the fear of this, so I'm going to fully allow it to do whatever the hell it wants to do, right? You have to be willing to let it, quote unquote, kill you. You have to be willing to let it do whatever it wants to do so that you can lose the fear of it, right? Because right now you're still under the false belief that it's a bad thing. Right now you're still under the false belief that it can do something bad to you. You're never going to learn that that it can't hurt you unless you allow it fully, which means to cut out those coping methods, those compulsions, that obsession to try to keep it away. No, don't try to keep it away. Let it come, right? That's the only way you can overcome the fear of it. So a lot of it, again, comes down to honesty. What are you doing to try to stop the anxiety and panic when it starts to come around? If you're trying to do something to stop it, whatever your compulsions are, your obsessions are, we must get rid of those things and we must allow it to come, right? We must allow it to come if we're going to work with it. We must allow it. We must allow it to come. What we listen to, Miami Vice again. Right now I've just got some, let's see, it's just a copyright-free music mix. It's not any Miami Vice, but we can get that going. I'm open for suggestions, so we can get that going. We do got an ad we have to sit through, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we've got an ad. Alright, let's get that going. Let's get that going. David, what's up, David? Welcome to the stream. Earlier, we talked about how no matter what you think your fear is, right, which really this is the point of tonight's stream, whether you think you are afraid of that thought or situation, right? So whatever the situation might be, right? Whether it's this situation or whether it's that situation, a public situation, whatever the situation might be, whatever the thought may be, that is not your fear. You do not actually fear those things. We gave the example earlier that you're not actually afraid to be home alone. You're afraid of anxiety and panic. So your root fear is not public or I'm afraid to be home alone or I'm afraid of that thought. That is not your root fear. Your root fear is that you're afraid of anxiety and panic. So you can forget trying to figure out all those other things because that's not the real problem anyway. The real problem is you are afraid of the way that you feel. And there is only one way to conquer the fear of being afraid of the way that you feel, and that is to feel it fully, which means you have to get rid of compulsions, coping methods, all that other good stuff. You have to be willing to feel it. to lose your fear of it, which means you can no longer put your hand up with compulsions, coping methods, so forth and so on. You have to be willing to feel it fully if you're ever going to learn to not fear it, right? So stop trying to figure out the situation. Stop trying to figure out the thoughts. You're making yourself miserable doing that. You're keeping yourself sensitized doing that. The real problem is none of those things. The real problem is that you're afraid of the way that you feel, and there's only one way to overcome that fear, and that's by feeling it, right? That's by feeling it. Which is going to feel like a leap of faith, I understand, but it is the only way to overcome that fear. It is the only way to overcome that root fear. You are capable. You can do it. I fully believe in you. Yeah, exactly, Panda. Exactly. Alcohol is bad for your nervous system. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. It does jack up your nervous system. It does. It's usually the hangover that really does you in. But the advice doesn't change. My personal opinion is I would try to put down the alcohol. But hey, you're a grown adult, so if you're not gonna put down the alcohol, what can I do about it? Either way, whether you're drinking or not drinking, the advice doesn't change. But yeah, personally, I would say try to put down the alcohol, at least for now. Don't forget to like the stream so we can reach others who need help too. Thank you so much, Kate. I appreciate that. Thank you for reminding the stream. Yes, I would be very appreciative if you guys would leave a quick like. Only takes a second, and it really does help the channel grow. I do appreciate it. Thanks, Wonder Bro. Absolutely, Style Alert. No problem. Yep. You got to face it with the right attitude, right, UK? You got to face it with the right attitude. What is the right attitude? I'm going to allow this to manifest however it wants to manifest. I'm going to allow this to happen however it wants to happen. I'm going to see what'll happen if I don't try to stop it or hold it back. I'm just going to let it fully happen. I'm just going to let it fully happen. That's got to be the attitude. You got to face it with that attitude. I'm going to allow it to fully happen. What is up, Pootie? How you doing, dude? Good to see you. Good to see you. My boy. My boy. We got some Miami Vice going just for you, dude. Just for you, Sanchez. Good night, all. It was nice being back on here. As always, many thanks, Wonder Bro. Of course, dude. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm young and been to the dock 1,000 times, right? So you're young and you've been to the dock 1,000 times. Do I think your heart issues are anything to worry about? No, right? I mean, I'm not a doctor, but you said yourself you've been to the doctor 1,000 times. Is rapidly beating heart for no reason normal with anxiety? Absolutely. Good advice. Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day feeling amazing physically. Pootie, you are on the right track, dude. Keep it up. My fear is health-wise, like dying from something or health-related, but the keys work for it as well. Like Wonder Bro said, I fear the anxiety or the symptoms. Yeah, exactly. You fear the way that you feel, so you have to be willing to allow yourself to feel it so that you can lose the fear of it. You have to be willing to, quote-unquote, die for recovery, right? That sounds weird, saying that. Of course, that's just a metaphor, but you have to be willing to quote-unquote die for your recovery. You're afraid of the way anxiety and panic makes you feel because of this reason or that reason. Well, you got to face those fears, which means you have to face them fully. Stop trying to hold it back, right? If you're afraid that panic is going to kill you, let it kill you. That's how you lose the fear of it. That's how you lose the fear of it. If you're always holding it back, you'll never learn that. You'll never learn that it won't kill you. You got to learn that for yourself in order for it to really click, which means you can no longer hold it back. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Pooty. I appreciate it, dude. Appreciate it as always. I need this mode. I need this anxiety and panic right now so I can lose the fear of it. I love it. I love it. That's the right attitude. That is the right attitude. I'm far too studalicious to let anxiety mess with me. You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct, Sky. I couldn't have said it any better myself. You guys never fail to amuse me. You guys never fail to amuse me. See, that's the thing. We've got people in chat right now talking about health anxiety, right? There's nothing wrong with getting your checkups. There's nothing wrong with getting a clean bill of health. There's nothing wrong with doing any of that. In fact, you should if you feel the need to, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there comes a point that you got to understand that your fear, right? What you fear anxiety and panic is going to do to you is false. But it's not enough to have someone tell you that, okay? Take that in. Think about that for a second. It's okay to get a clean bill of health. It's okay to get checkups. But your root fear is your fear of anxiety and panic because you think they're going to kill you. It is not enough to get, and that's why people go to the doctor 1,000 times, because it's never enough. It is not enough to be told that anxiety and panic will not kill you. You have to experience that anxiety and panic will not kill you. And the only way to truly experience that anxiety and panic will not kill you is to let it happen fully, without coping methods, without compulsions, to let it completely take you and kill you if it will. And then you will learn that, hey, I did nothing to try to stop that, and I'm still standing, so now I'm slowly starting to lose my fear of it. You will never get to that point, and this fear will always be kind of dangling over your head until you realize that it's not true. But the only way to realize it's not true is for yourself. You have to prove it to yourself. It's not enough to be told that it's not true. You have to experience that it's not true by fully allowing it, without coping methods, without compulsions, without trying to stop it, without trying to get away from it, without obsessing about it, but instead just completely, fully allowing it with the attitude of, let's do this. Right? Let's see what happens. And if I die, I die, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life with this thing hanging over my head. Woo! That's how you get there. That's how you get there. That's how you get there. Go at your own pace, practice it, but eventually you got to lose your fear of anxiety and panic, which is your root fear, and you can only do that by fully letting it happen. You know, and a lot of people, you know, they say, well, I've been doing that. I've been doing that. No, you haven't. If we're really honest, and I'm not trying to call you out or make you feel bad about yourself, I'm just trying to get you to be honest. If you say I've been doing that, I've been fully allowing it. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Let's think about it for a second. Whenever you're anxious, do you try to fight it off with some sort of coping method or compulsion because you don't want to feel it? If the answer to that question is yes, then no, you haven't been fully facing it. Right? If anytime you feel anxiety or panic, do you try to do something to try to make it stop or go away or whatever? Then if the answer to that question is yes, then no, you haven't been fully facing it. So a lot of people got this guard up and they're still doing things like obsession and whatnot to try to make it go away, right? And they say that they're accepting, but you're really not. So you got to be honest with yourself. Got to be honest with yourself, man. You got to be honest with yourself. You have to be. And again, I'm not saying that to try to make you feel bad about yourself. Of course not. I'm just saying that so that maybe we can get you really on track here. Maybe we can get you on track here. That's what we need. I used to be indecisive. Now I'm not sure. There you go. There you go. Got to put in the work. Absolutely, you have to. Sanchez, my dude. Sanchez, my man, making it rain with a $15 tip. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you. What's that take us to? 35. Thank you guys so much. Can we show some love in the chat to my tippers? We would not be on a 118-day streak, obviously, if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you so much. Sanchez, $15 tip. I love you, bro. I love you. One of my biggest supporters, man. I love you. Got to go, Wonder Bro, my brother. We about to grub, but before I go, and then he comes in with a $15 tip. I love you, dude. Thank you so much for all the support that you've shown me for, years now? I love you, man. I love you. Thank you, Sanchez. Thank you. I want to see some love in the chat for my tippers, man. I want to see some emojis. Let's get a wall of emojis for all of our tippers. We're at 35 of 50, 118-day streak. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for what you do, even when my mind tells me that I'm not doing any progress. When I see back weeks and months ago, I can tell that lately doing simple things like going to the store has been getting easier. So you're definitely making progress, dude. Congrats, and keep it up. Let your mind talk to itself. If it wants, answer self, whatever. Stay out of it. Focus on presence. Stay out of it. Let the feelings and thoughts do what they want. Prove to yourself that there is nothing to fear, right? That is the way. That is the way. Hey, I've said it a few times this stream, right? And of course it is a metaphor, but you have to be willing, and I believe metaphor is the right word there, right? You have to be willing to die for recovery. So if you fear anxiety and panic because you're afraid that it's going to kill you, you've got to lose the fear of that somehow. And the only way to lose the fear of that, if you don't want it hanging over your head, is to prove to yourself that it's not going to kill you. And the only way to prove to yourself that it's not going to kill you is to allow it fully to happen, without all of the trying to make it go away or stop it. If you're always making it go away or trying to stop it, or always on edge with the obsession trying to make it go away or stop it, or as Life of Riley said, you think your worry keeps you safe. If that's how you're going about it, you're never going to lose your fear of it, right? You're never going to lose your fear of it. Two main keys are: have the accepting attitude, so you're letting the thoughts and feelings do what they will, and you're living your life. You're proving to yourself that nothing bad is going to happen. Even if it gets super intense, you're not trying to stop it, because you're going to prove to yourself that nothing bad will happen. That's the only way you can prove to yourself that nothing bad will happen. Tension, yeah. Tension, absolutely normal. Absolutely normal to experience some tension. Allow yourself to feel it. How do you lose the fear of anything, guys? Like, let's not even talk about anxiety for a second. Let's just talk about fear in general. How do you lose the fear of anything? By facing it. So let's give an example here. Let's say you've got a small child who's afraid of the dark, right? They're afraid of the dark for whatever their reason might be. I don't know. There's a monster hiding in the dark. There's something bad that's going to get me, grab my feet and pull me under the bed. They're afraid of the dark for some reason. Whatever their irrational fear belief is, they are afraid of the dark for some reason. And there's only one way to ever face that fear, right? And it's the same for any fear. There's only one way to overcome it, and that is to see for yourself that nothing bad's going to happen. Like there's nothing waiting in the dark. There's no boogeyman, right? So the only way to do that is to face the very intense feelings associated with that, and then learn that you didn't die. Basically, to see for yourself that you did not die. That is the only way to overcome a fear. So if you are afraid of the way anxiety and panic makes you feel, right, because of this reason or that, whatever your reason might be, I don't know. Whatever your reason might be, the only way to overcome that fear is to see for yourself that it's not as bad as you thought it was, or that thing is not going to happen. So the only way is to face it fully. I've had some people tell me, well, Wonder Bro, that doesn't apply to me. They try to get me caught up. They say, that doesn't apply to me because I'm not afraid of dying from anxiety and panic. I'm not afraid of going crazy from anxiety and panic. I just don't like the way it makes me feel. So your method's not going to work for me. Well, guess what? Your main fear is that you don't want to feel anxiety and panic because you don't like the way it makes you feel, and you're afraid that that's going to be like that forever. Well, guess what? It's still because you fear anxiety and panic. You don't like the way it makes you feel because you fear it. And the only way to lose the fear of it is to let it come and say, hey, if you want to be here, you can be here for as long as you'd like. And to get used to it, right? So guess what? No loopholes, no excuses. Right? Right? No loopholes, no excuses. You don't get out of this one. You don't get out of this one. Any fear you have, health related or in general, public speaking, whatever, being out. Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to that same root fear. You know, it all comes down to that same root fear. You fear the way that it makes you feel. And that's good news. That's good news because now you don't have to overcomplicate the crap out of it, right? You really gotta get to the point where you can say to yourself, I don't care if it makes me feel this way, right? That's what we call losing the fear of the way that you feel. Because then, none of these things would matter. These thoughts that you give so much power to, these situations that you give so much power to, none of them would matter if you didn't care about the way that they made you feel. So if you get to the point where you don't care about the way that it makes you feel, then everything is solved. But there's only one way to get to that point, right? You got to experience it. I was addicted to the hokey pokey, but thankfully I turned myself around. I don't know where you guys find these jokes, but bravo. Bravo. You guys kill me with your one-liners. You know what I've noticed? Interesting. Why is that happening? The bot that normally shares my links for me and stuff has not been doing that for a long time. You guys notice that? I just noticed that. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? I don't know where to get to those settings. Yeah, like months. I don't know why I'm just now noticing that. We had a bot in here that would share like links for me and stuff, like on a timer, and I don't even remember what I did that through. But that shit hasn't been working for a long time. Not a big deal. Just curious now more than anything. A good way to put it, Panda, is if you get to the point where you can say to yourself, I don't care if this makes me anxious or panicky, then you're on the right track. Then you're on the right track. There's only one way to get there. We keep talking about it tonight. There's only one way to get there, and that's to continue to allow yourself to feel it. Yeah, I don't know where this bot is that used to do that. Weird. Weird. Yeah, I can't find it. I give up. I can't find it. I don't know why that stopped working. Interesting. In other news, though, we are at 10,493 subscribers. We are so close to 10.5. We are so close to 10.5. Pulp Fiction. Believe it or not, I've never actually seen that movie. I know that should be a crime. I've heard so much about it. That is a movie, right? You're probably correct, Sky. That's actually might be the reason. That's all she wrote for the Russian bot. Stretch. Oh, that felt amazing. That felt amazing. Three tomatoes are walking down the street. Papa Tomato, Mama, and Baby Tomato. I feel like I've heard this. Papa Tomato gets really angry, goes back and squishes him, and says, "Ketchup, ketchup." Yeah, I've heard that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. My dad actually told me that one. That one is a certified dad joke. I turned 31 today and wore an inflatable T-Rex costume. I told my husband I feel old, so I might as well look it. There you go. I've always wanted one of those. I don't know why. I don't know what purpose I would ever have for one of those, but I've always wanted one of those. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. Hey, but happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yes, happy birthday. Happy birthday. I think that's one of those things where you don't really need a reason. You don't really need a reason. It's just awesome and you want it. I don't know, I've seen it on TikTok. It used to be a big thing on TikTok. I was anti-TikTok for a long time. Downloaded it for like 2 days and was hooked. Hooked. Speaking of TikTok, you guys should go give me a follow on there. Vacate fear under everything, anything and everything that your heart could desire. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, vacate fear. Been really trying to grow the Twitter here recently. I don't know why, I just kind of felt like it. We went from like 600 to 1,000 in like a week. It was awesome. Thank you guys for that. I feel like if we branch out a little bit, we might get some more new people around the channel. So just been focusing on trying to grow that other social media. Probably the best way to draw new people into the channel here, I believe. I don't know how to use Twitter. Twitter is just like a what's the best way to describe Twitter? It's like it's like an advanced status sharer. You just share. What's the limit? Quote limit? It's like 300 words or 300 letters. Sorry. Yeah, and that's it. That's basically it. Imagine complex Facebook statuses, glorified Facebook statuses is basically Twitter. It's a freaking wormhole of time. I swear, you watch like 4 videos and spend 2 hours somehow, right? You could just spend endless amount of time scrolling. It's not as good at first on TikTok until you like personalize your timeline or whatever. That's when it gets good, when TikTok knows what you want to see. Oh yeah, the videos about you're using it wrong. Yeah, I love those. Classic. Classic. I've been trying to make a lot of shorts over there. I think the longest TikTok you can make is like 3 minutes. Jordan, thank you so much, dude, for the $5 Cash App. Yes, Cash App. Is there a note? Cash Apps always throw me off a little bit. I don't think there's a note. Let me check. No note. Jordan, thank you so much for the $5 Cash App. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you. Get that updated. We're at 40 of 50, guys. We're at a 118-day streak. I don't go on Twitter. I didn't for a long time. I don't blame you. I just thought it would be a good idea to kind of branch out a little bit. And then I actually started to like it. It's not that bad. Thank you again, Jordan, for the $5 Cash App, dude. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, I focused primarily on the YouTube channel for a long time. Didn't really worry too much about Instagram or Twitter or all that good stuff, but I don't know, it's not bad. I enjoy the shorts because I can save them and use them as little advice nuggets on the days I need motivation. Absolutely, yeah. People love the shorts. I need to do more shorts over here on YouTube. That's still a YouTube feature, right? That's still a popular thing. Everybody's getting into the short videos. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, between like TikTok and there used to be Vine and now YouTube Shorts is a thing, everybody enjoys just like a 30-second clip as opposed to a full-length video. So, like, I don't know. I tried to do them on TikTok and I've done a few shorts here on YouTube, but I should probably make it a more regular thing because if we're being honest and not denying reality here, I mean, let's face it, people are more likely to watch the shorts nowadays. Yeah, you can share links on Twitter. Yeah, you can share links on Twitter. I share the links to my videos over there sometimes. I don't do TikTok, so I only see them on YouTube. Yeah, I need to make it a more regular thing. I really do. It's the way people are becoming addicted to these short videos, dude. It's like it's the popular thing right now. It's the popular thing right now. I can't deny it. I need to join the trend. I need to join the trend. Wonder Bro branching out. Trying to, dude. Trying to. I don't know. We mostly do the YouTube streams every other day now. So I thought about doing a short on the days that we don't do the streams, just like vice versa. It's all about losing the fear of those feelings, Panda. All about losing the fear of those feelings. Because that's your main fear anyway, right? And that's really what tonight's stream was all about. Tony, what's up, dude? I haven't seen you in a minute. How you doing, Tony? Tony, I haven't seen you forever, dude.
Donation.
Maddie, thank you so much, Maddie. Maddie coming in with the $10 tip. You know what that means, guys. We're moving on. We're moving on to 119. Wow, that is crazy to say. 119 day streak. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. I'm doing great. What about you? I'm doing great, Tony. Just hanging out with stream. talking about anything and everything. Thank you again, Maddie, so much, by the way, for that $10 tip. I appreciate you moving us on to the 119-day streak. That is insane. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Give a round of applause in chat, please. It's been a while, man. I seen that you were live and had to stop in. It has been forever, dude. I hope you're still doing well. I hope you're still doing well. Maddie to the rescue. Yes, show some love in chat, please. Show some love in chat. Only takes a second. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you. Every stream I get a little more breakthrough and understanding than the last. I try to be diverse with it, you know. I always try to, we keep the same core message, but we try to mix it up a little bit. We keep the same core message, but we try to mix it up a little bit, just so that it speaks to everybody, because people learn with different slang, you know. People learn with different terms. So yes, I'm doing amazing. Everyone listen to this guy. Thank you for that, Tony. I appreciate it. Comments like that, dude. Why I do what I do. Love to see people making all of that progress. Keep it up, dude. I've been over here rapping, like trying to wrap my brain around where my bot went. Didn't notice it for months. I think you're right, Kate. It has been months since that thing has been working. I've been trying to figure it out. I've been going through settings on YouTube. I don't know where it went. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just not a thing anymore. Maybe that's not a feature anymore. I don't know. I don't know. Weird. Spit a rap. Spit a rap. Oh, you don't want to hear that. That'd be awful. I'm not a rapper, man. I'm not a rapper. I mean, if the YouTube thing doesn't work out one day, I could go to I could try my hand at being a SoundCloud rapper, see what happens. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. We'll see how that goes. I'm gonna finish this movie. I'll try not to be a stranger. Enjoy it, Tony. Enjoy it. Thanks for stopping by, dude. I missed the bot telling me that I am loved. She was a nice lady. Wasn't she, though? She was. I'm sad. I'm sad that she disappeared on us. What's up, Elsa? Hey, everyone. Sending good vibes to all. Listen to Wonder Bro, guys, and have patience. Thank you, Wonder Bro. Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Chilling with the feeling. I like it. I like it. Okay. Is that your mantra? That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you guys again, man, for the 119-day streak. Anytime I see that on the screen, I'm just like, I'm a little blown away. 119 days. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. You guys are the best. You guys are the best. It's been a good stream tonight. I feel like we covered a lot of good topics. Acceptance is the way. Listen to what Wonder Bro say. Oh, okay, so we're doing rhymes now. That's what we're doing. All right, I got you. I got you. I see what you're doing. I see you. I see you. Who misses Claire? We still got Claire, right? Yes, we do. Who misses Claire? There she is. There she is. Making a star appearance. Making a star appearance. All right, beautiful people. Beautiful people. We're going to get our song ready to go. We're going to get our song ready to go. Where's it at? We're going to get into that. Thank you guys for the awesome stream tonight, man. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing and lovely and awesome. We're only like 6 or 7 people away from 10.5K. So if you're considering subscribing and you're looking for your sign, this is it. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It's been a late one. Thank you so much for all that you do. I love you. I love you so much. And I'll see you very, very soon. And until next time, as always, stay awesome.
Wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Did it die? Yeah. Did it die? Did it die? I'm a stone cold killer. I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Whatever you want, I'll be whatever you want. Just tell me you love me or not, whatever it costs. I know I'm talking a lot, there's something I gotta get off. Don't wanna be this no more, I don't wanna drink no more. Always gotta do the most, thinking that I'm insecure. Really should've listened more, but I don't, of course. I'm an asshole, I'm a good guy, I'm your best friend, I'm the worst type. Tell you everything that you heard right, just so I can fuck on the first night. Feel like I'm losing hope, running from coast to coast. I don't know where to go, this all I've ever known. I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. No. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Won't die. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? My aunt think I'm perfect, I know I'm not. My mama be worried, I told her stop. They know I did drugs and think that I'm off. Little do they know I never could stop. My manager hate when I'm pulling up late. Back on my bullshit, she think it's a phase. I got relations I gotta maintain. I'm two different people, my side and my main. Yeah, I'm sober, I'm an addict. I'm a lowlife, I got habits, but I refuse to be average. Really so tired of acting. Don't know what I miss no more. Too bad you don't hit me more. I'm bad when I get too bored. Careful what you wishing for. I'm a stone cold killer. I'm a billionaire. I got my own